Jesus was trying to teach his disciples and they didn't understand. All week I've been thinking about what it was that he was trying to teach them. And so I thought maybe I'd give a shot at teaching something similar to you. So let's start with a little pop quiz, a little question. Does anybody, it's okay, I don't expect you to know the answer. Does anybody know the first sentence of the Gospel of Mark? Mark simply writes, the Gospel of Jesus Christ, the Son of God. This phrase, this combination of words is so familiar to us that it almost is reduced to a meaningless slogan. We could put it on a bumper sticker and think very little of it. But what in the world does it mean? And why would having that written down on a piece of parchment 2,000 years ago get you immediately arrested by the Romans and killed for the crime of sedition? What is so seditious and subversive about the phrase, the gospel of Jesus Christ, the Son of God? For us, it sounds every day, but here's the history of that phrase. In ancient Rome, the Empire of Rome, especially at the time of Jesus, had conquered most of the known world. Northern Africa, Europe, the Middle East, and so many other areas that people can conceive of. The Roman army had gone in and defeated as an invincible power all of their foes. And whenever the Roman army was victorious, a message was sent from the front line as quick as possible back to the city of Rome. And the message would announce the glorious victory of the Roman army. And there was a name for this message, for this genre of message. The name for the message of the glorious victory of the Roman army was called the gospel. Whenever the Roman army won a battle or a war, they would send the gospel back to Rome. And so the Christians adopted the word gospel as if to make the point that the Roman declaration of their violent victories was a counterfeit and a lie, that that's not the true good news. But it didn't end there. You may know a little bit about Roman history. Julius Caesar was the first emperor of Rome. He was beloved by the people. And so when he was assassinated, the people declared him to be a new god. They loved him so much that the highest compliment they gave him, they began to worship him and said, Julius Caesar is a new god. And so every emperor after Julius Caesar took Caesar's name as their own. Augustus Caesar, Tiberius Caesar, and so on and so forth. And each Caesar after Julius, because the people proclaimed Julius to be a god, each Caesar after Julius said, I am the Son of God. We have Roman coins from the age. The name of the Caesar is printed on the back. At the time of Jesus, it was Tiberius Caesar. And the name Tiberius Caesar, the Son of God, is stamped on the back of his coins. So when the Christians say, no, we've got the real good news, we are proclaiming the gospel of Jesus, and by the way, he's the real Son of the real God, it's a seditious statement saying the Roman government, the Roman Empire, Caesar Augustus is a counterfeit sham. Their empire, their authority, their claim to power is false and a lie. And that opening sentence of the Gospel of Mark is the theme of his entire gospel. He's trying to convince the people that a new kingdom has come to rule the world, and a new king is ruling the world. And this is exactly what Jesus was trying to teach his disciples. That Jesus has proclaimed a new kingdom. Not just a rival to Caesar. That's what the apostles were thinking. No, he's proclaimed a new kind of kingdom. Because the old kind of kingdoms, the old status of wealth, war, and power, they're the wrong kind of kingdom in the first place. That kind of kingdom breaks the world. It cannot and will not fix the world. Jesus is inaugurating a new kingdom, a new way of organizing the world, a new way of repairing the world. And he's the new king. The problem is, he behaves nothing like Caesar in Rome. The apostles just can't grasp it. They have been so indoctrinated into the idea that there's only one way to do kingdoms. There's only one way to run the world. There's only one way to do power and authority. And when they hear Jesus talking about a kingdom, they argue amongst themselves who's the greatest, because they're basically vying for political power. They're convinced that very soon Jesus was going to replace Tiberius Caesar in Rome. That's what they were thinking. They legitimately thought that they were vying for the chief of staff in Jesus' new kingdom, the head advisor, the head of the tax collectors, the head of the army, all of these other positions of wealth and power. They were arguing amongst themselves who would be in what position of Jesus' new government, thinking that his kingdom was going to be a rival to the Roman Empire. And he says to them, as strongly as he possibly can, my kingship is about self-sacrifice and service, not wealth, war, and power. My kingdom is about lowliness and humility and service. If you wish to be great, there's nothing wrong with wanting to be great. Jesus doesn't say, don't seek greatness. No, not at all. If you want to be great, be great. Just do it his way. Be great by being the servant of all. If you want to be the greatest, you will be the lowliest. If you want to be the most important, you will sacrifice yourself. Jesus even goes to the extent of saying, take up your cross and follow me. He takes the idea of wealth, war, and power, the way that we are still convinced that the world is supposed to be run, and he turns it upside down and says, this is the wrong way of doing it. My kingdom is a new, different, and correct way, because he who created the world is the only one that knows how to fix it. And I'll be really honest. I worry about you. I worry about my students because at this moment in your life, maybe you're studying political science and maybe you're giving into the indoctrination that says that the only way to run the world is through the application of political power in the way that we've always done it, including the Roman Empire. I'm worried about you because maybe you're studying international business, or maybe you're studying accounting or some other variety of business. Again, nothing wrong with that inherently, but maybe you're giving into the thought, the indoctrination of thinking that the only way to run the world is through the accumulation of wealth and material possessions. Or maybe you're studying something else, but maybe you spend a fair amount of time on social media and you're giving into the indoctrination of thinking that happiness is accomplished through the accumulation of certain cute outfits and fancy cars or beautiful homes or whatever, that the messages that our culture keeps giving you is the exact opposite of what Jesus is begging us to hear. That if we become only like a small child, then we can inherit his kingdom. If we seek to be the servant of all, if we strive after simplicity of life, advocate for peace and oppose all types of violence and war, if we strive after these things, then we can truly live in his kingdom, the correct way of running the world, that everything else is a counterfeit. What we've been told is so important, what we've been told, especially in this era of political conversation conversations nonstop, the counterfeit messages are repeated, that the only way to fix the world is to keep applying more wealth, war, and power. The only way to truly be happy is to strive after more wealth, war, and power. We are lied to on a regular basis, and Jesus is trying to teach us, begging us to see things through his kingdom. Because we know his is the only way to truly heal the world. We proclaim something greater than all other counterfeit messages, and that is the gospel of Jesus Christ, the true Son of God.